Okay. All right, ladies and possibly some gentlemen somewhere. I'm lighting up my own little smudge here because that's how I like to do things. Today, we are more intentionally going to be working as a group together. I think you have all, or almost, or at least all the people I can see, you've all been a part of explorations on Thursdays. And I think we all agree that part of the beauty of Thursday is hearing each other and not just me. So that's why we wanted to try Zoom. And the theme today is, if you know, I don't know if it even matters to some of you, but what we posted is it's really about how are we adjusting to this new situation? How are we feeling about what's next? And what are some tools and perspectives to help? So in our typical fashion for explorations, I'm going to start off with a little breathing, a little sort of a brief meditation, then I have a little reading. I'm going to share a little bit, and then we'll go around the circle, and whoever wants to contribute a little bit, tell us where you're at, or what your thoughts are. We'd love to hear from you. And then, of course, because this is a slightly different format, I'm going to use the comments that people are making also as an opportunity for me to, respond and provide some more information, but I'll do that after everyone's had a chance to go. So I'll be making notes. I'm not doodling here or playing a video game on the side. I'm with you. And then typically we finish these at about I always say 11:45, but it's 11:50 pretty much when we normally stop. So anyone have any concerns or questions before we dive in? All right. And yes, I have a new backdrop again. I finally figured out how not to have something horrible behind me. So with that, if you like, you can join me. I'm going to be closing my eyes, sitting comfortably but alert. So that means sort of like having a straight spine and no slouching for the moment. Eyes closed. And then I like to start this moment just with some big breaths. Nothing fancy, just kind of just as many of those sort of sighs. In fact, it can be in and out of your mouth. It can be in through your nose and out through your mouth. But you want like 5 to 10 times. Just imagine you just ran up a hill. Or you're getting ready to do something really big. Or you're trying to catch your breath. And just when you feel a little bit tired of that big breath, just go a couple more. And then you can slow down, and we're going to focus on the exhale, long, long exhale. You're breathing out like you're breathing out through a straw. And then just a natural breath in through the nose and then out again, out through the mouth. Really, really long, full exhale. And after a couple more of those, just feel yourself slowing down, settling down, your body softens. Muscles in your face relax. You feel the weight of your own body supported by the chair or sofa. There's a growing awareness of stillness and silence. And let us imagine as we connect more and more to this stillness and this silence, that we have found our way into the place between extremes, neither in nor out, neither up nor down, right nor left, happy nor sad, Democrat nor Republican, future, past. Imagine that when you sense and feel the stillness, the silence in yourself, the whole world is absorbed into this moment. From this place, we can open our hearts to the polarities of life and the extremes that we might feel caught between. And then we have a reading from Kabir. Some of you have heard me read this before. And this was written around the year 1500. Between the conscious and the unconscious, the mind has put up a swing. All earth creatures, even the supernovas, sway between the two trees, and it never winds down. Angels, humans, insects by the million, also the wheeling sun and moon. Ages go by and it goes on. Everything is swinging. Heaven, earth, water, fire, and the secret one slowly growing a body. If you saw that for 15 seconds, it would make you a servant for life. And when you're ready, you can come back. So I liked that reading for today because, you know, when we pick the topic, it's interesting, I have to say, when we pick the topic about sort of reintegration and change, I wasn't personally feeling or seeing what I am feeling and seeing right now, which is perfectly suited to the topic. So I think Susan suggested it, and it was a great guess or suggestion. And what I mean by all that is to say that I think millions of people are feeling something strange right now as they are trying to understand not only what's next, but where are we now? Now, admittedly, and this isn't a political statement, it's just a fact, in some countries, government is different, culture is different. So the whole country is doing the same thing, and the government has sort of a clear expectation. But for those of us on the call, I mean, we're in a unique place. And part of the beauty of this country is the freedom of states to operate differently and freedom of speech, freedom of opinion. But on the other hand, the result in this moment is it's very hard to know what is a reasonable expectation of ourselves or others. In our lives, we have people, I mean, literally in our lives, in my life, I have people I'm involved with who this is over. Pandemic, done. Quarantine, done. No masks, no rules, no limits, done. That's it. I also know people who are really vulnerable. You know, we have a friend up the street who's been in a full body brace after a spinal injury for 3 months. He can't get a cold, right? I mean, this guy, anything could do him in. And I mean that pretty seriously and literally. And so they're taking extremes of precaution. They're not even getting takeout food, right? And between these swings, there's us, right? And finding this new balance, not just what's the right way forward in terms of health and social distance, but then after months, for probably most of us here, of being on retreat, time out of time, different settings, different perspectives, time to think about life, time to feel differently. It's a bit like coming out of a cave, and the eyes need time to adjust, right? I mean, whether we have enjoyed this or not, whether it's been a fight, a torture, or a joy, we are moving into, or I should say, we are explicitly already embedded in a time of great uncertainty. And what arises in that for a lot of people naturally, and this is worth knowing, is emotion. There's something interesting about the way, and some of you have heard me say this before, the way focus is a friend to the infinite power of the mind. When there is a lack of focus, the mind can and will go anywhere and everywhere. And the emotions follow. So when we know, as an example, using the quarantine, hey, no one's going anywhere. Everyone's staying in. Whether you like it or not, there's a certain clarity to that structure. When you take a course, it's different than reading it on your own, right? You show up to a group of people. There's a teacher, there's assignments. When you plan a trip, whatever it is that you create structure for, the focus actually can create more freedom in a strange way, because knowing parameters allows us to feel permission, freedom inside, to be creative, to experiment, to explore. But when we take the parameters away, when we take some structure away, we find that the real gift of the mind becomes its curse, which is that it's infinite. You can literally think on a topic endlessly. You can literally think yourself through the night and not sleep. And in the midst of this sort of strange openness, the heart starts to unload. And so maybe that's not happening for you, but if it's happening for you, it's okay. It's normal. Grief rises up when there's no work of the day. Worry can arise. Essentially, emotions and feelings that haven't been tended to, whether it's about the present situation or life in general, when there's nothing else on, for an analogy, when there's no show playing, they'll take the stage. Like, oh, hey, no one's up here. No one's performing. No one's singing. No one's talking. Nothing's happening on the stage. I need to cry, I need to yell. I need to, blame someone. Right, exactly. Kate's got it. So the tricky thing is to be patient with ourselves as we go through this. And so I want to conclude for now just with a couple of little notes about how do you kind of cope with that. And then we'll go around the room, so to speak, the Zoom room. We'll Zoom around the room. So one of the first things that you might consider as you face entering or continuing in a time of uncertainty is that there are some moments in life in which distraction and denial are actually really important. And that might sound surprising from me, because You know, the spiritual path, generally speaking, is about not being distracted. It's about being present. It's about not being in denial. It's about being open and aware of what really is. Now, when I say distraction and denial, I'm actually not really talking about your inner world. I would highly recommend you stay aware of your inner world. But what I mean is that it's reasonable right now to moderate just how invested we become in any one opinion, plan, or version of what the future is going to look like, because we don't know. We just don't know. So, you know, if you check the news, check the news. If you have hopes for the future, great. If you want to learn what's going on, fine. But my comment about distraction and denial is when there's great uncertainty, it's typically wise to narrow your focus by choice. Shorter time aspirations, like what am I going to do for this week? And just contemplate a really great week. What am I going to do for the next 14 days? What am I going to do for the next 4 hours? You know, so to have slightly more restricted or limited or just narrow emphasis in your life while the bigger landscapes get sorted out. Then there's finding the balance between giving yourself time to feel. And we've talked about this many times. The importance of feeling for healing can't be stressed enough. On the other hand, we also want to be careful that we don't slip into sort of repetitive cycles of feeling that is less productive and simply more unchecked. Now, I don't know if that makes sense, but an example might be you wake up feeling sad, okay? Sad for what you thought was going to be your summer. Grief for what you thought was going to be things you were doing. Grief for people you're not seeing. And if there's sorrow, be with it, right? So sit at your altar, play sad music, give yourself a slow morning, and if you need to cry, cry, write about it, and so on. On the other hand, because the context is uncertainty, you also want to be careful that it doesn't turn into the meaningful embrace of feeling. You want to be careful that the meaningful embrace of feeling doesn't turn into kind of dwelling on it, or I don't know a good word, but I think when we grew up, the word was wallowing in it, which is kind of an awful word. But I think you know the difference. If you don't, typically the wallowing or ruminating is when you've kind of already gone through the peak of the emotion. You've had your cry, you've had your anger, you've had your emotion, you've had your insight, and now you find yourself just revisiting it, revisiting it, revisiting it. And at that point, the energy will typically feel different. That's usually when you know, I either need to work with this differently, like get more into it, so ceremony, therapy, coach, whatever, or I need to now catch myself because I've moved from, for lack of a better word, a productive exploration of my feelings and the need to just be with them into I got nothing else to do, so I'm sitting around just going over and over and over it. And then that's where the idea of meaningful distraction comes up. Is it movement that you need? Is it reinvigorating some of the things you planned you were going to do for the quarantine a month ago, but you never did? Is it a little project, just little projects around the home that you can actually complete, or something you can actually do for others? One really interest, the obvious ones are, learning hobbies or taking a class or whatever. There's also some cool stuff you can do in terms of social activism, writing letters to senators about police violence, or learning more about the environment and, helping facilitate things like that, or even just looking up how can I be helpful online? So there are lots of constructive ways to create little projects for yourself, whether it's around the home or whether it's something, a way to reach out and be a part of the world. So I'm going to stop there. Some food for thought, some perspective, mostly about permission, but also about feeling and creating a narrow focus. And why don't we go and connect with each other a little bit? So you, of course, can say, talk about whatever topics are really on your mind. Hey, Terry. But you can also answer some questions. So I guess the questions that I have in mind on this topic are, what are you finding really helpful right now for yourself? Like, what's been an anchor for you? What's bringing you through? What are you going back to? What's inspiring you? And I think it's fair to share, if you feel comfortable, what's the challenge? Like, where are you finding yourself stuck or fearful or worried? I'm not going to jump in on that. I'll make some comments at the end. But it's an opportunity to be with our feelings, to connect with our community, and to share also what is helping. So you could say your name, little quick note about how you're doing, and then the two topics are what's really been helpful for you, and what are you feeling you're coming up against right now as kind of a challenge or uncertainty or question mark. Are you ready to go? Or does anyone have something you wanted to ask before we take the next step? Maybe something I said was too weird. So if you want, just wave your hand. I'll unmute you. Otherwise, all right. Very good. So the way, I'll just call out the people in order. It's kind of a somewhat random order. I do see that Julie and Terry came on later by video. I don't know how much you heard of the first part, but
I heard everything.
Oh, great.
I was just lurking in the background.
Lurking.
I'm a lurky lurker.
Well, it's good to see you. Thank you. All right. Well, why don't we start? We'll start. It's probably just easiest to do the order that I see. So Barbara is actually first on my screen. And Barbara, I know, Barbara, I'm going to say to you right now, I know I owe you a reply. And you were gracious and said it's not urgent, but I just wanted to acknowledge that. I'm sorry. So Barbara, so a quick greeting and then point of strength, point of challenge.
Just first of all, in response to what you just said to me, no, you do not need to contact me again.
Oh.
About? Are you hearing me?
Yeah, you just cut out for a second, but.
Oh. What I asked you about resolved itself, and I felt like it was connected this is a little ambiguous for everybody listening, but it was connected to some work I did on that retreat, and I wanted to share it with Jonathan, but I realized that really what I had done, the work that I had done was the point of it. And so nice. I'm feeling that's, it's pretty complete. I'm happy to talk about it, but not necessary. So you're off the board. So really that's kind of the helpful thing for me is to go in and do my inner work. And since I feel like that's my work, that's what I'm supposed to be doing all the time, then this is the perfect venue to do it and to feel fine about it and not have to explain, So I'm often not even up until 10:30 or 11 because I'm doing my inner work in my bedroom. So that's very good. The challenges are falling into, when you were talking about balance, falling into the less productive feeling of something when I don't have focus, but the exhilarating part is to use some of my tools and come back into balance. And I find they're challenges, but they're also they're opportunities, really. With Arden, it's been a great opportunity, and especially playing these games that they like to play. There, a lot of them, yesterday, the one we played had a lot of very negative stuff with it. Curse cards and hex cards and all this stuff. And I just was tightening up. And when I realized that I didn't want to be in that headspace, and so I could figure it out with some of my tools, then I was able to let it go. So I'm just very grateful for all the opportunities.
Just one quick point of clarification for the group. Can you say a little more about what tools are to you? Or when you're doing your practice in the morning, is it meditation? Is it yoga? Is it prayer? Is it all those things? Because just so we share in a way that people can visualize for themselves, what would you say that's working for you? So the first thing is that you are committed to time for yourself.
Right.
You are committed to your spiritual practice. That is definitely a great lesson for everyone. But can you give us just a quick sense
Sure.
of what's actually happening in there?
Well, definitely it's a combination. I often do a little sun salute and some other little stretching exercises. And I use my books and the practices from my all three of my spiritual communities. And so that's mainly it. Things I've learned and picked up through other classes and other modalities too, and in addition to what I get out of you and Althea.
Cool. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Sue, you are next on my screen. And
Sue or another Sue?
where is there another Sue here?
I don't know.
Sue Peters, come
That's
on
me.
down.
Okay. Well, I'm so glad to see everybody.
Hey, Barbara,
Really glad.
oh, there we go. Never mind.
Missing you all. My husband's peeking around the corner of the thing to see who's here. Yeah.
Say hi.
Anyways, I wanted to say that I am finding this time to be really, really beneficial, and I've spent a lot of time in self-care, which has been I haven't been doing. So I've accomplished a lot of things that I've wanted to do, and so we've been doing lots of gardening and hiking and things around the house, organization, of course, and donating things, and then also had time to. Well, I finished both of Jonathan's books. Thank you very much. Those were great. The Inspiration, and then the Return to the Sacred.
Oh my gosh.
Loved those.
Well, now you got to do the spiritual experience.
Well, I downloaded it and I can't find it. I don't know. There's something with the interplay, and I don't know what's going on.
If anyone has a problem, just ask me. I'll send it to you.
Well, it got sent. But then
I'll
I'll
resend it.
Yeah, please resend it. But I did want to say I am having a problem knowing what to do because I'm a page folder. I dog ear and I write things in there and whatever. If you saw the other two books, I mean, it's crazy. But in any case,
okay.
So I'm not sure, but I'm working on that. And I had about a year ago, I had drug home some wood from the side of the street, and knowing that I wanted to do something with it. And after reading your Return to the Sacred, I'd been wanting to do an altar for a long time. So my husband cut up the wood and I built an altar. And so I have been really enjoying your 12 at 12s, which I had never done before. And then also your visualization meditations, especially recently, have been super good for me, and I'm really enjoying that, and working with energy medicine and things like that. So it's been, I gotta say, it's been good. But then I also feel I've been feeling sort of guilty too, because, I know so many people are struggling right now. And, we're very blessed and we have not been struggling. We're pretty, I won't say solitary, but we don't go out and, we don't need to be out with a lot of people, and we're not going out to restaurants all the time and stuff like that. But so that's, I actually feel sort of guilty about feeling like this has been a great time of self-care and contemplation and stuff for me. But then also just kind of working with the emotions of, my husband and I and our daughter were out walking on the street when this first started, and somebody drove by going the opposite direction, not knowing that we were a family. And we were like, one in a line on a sidewalk. We couldn't spread out any farther because it was a sidewalk on a busy street. And somebody actually driving the other direction yelled at us about, where's your masks? And you need to be wearing masks. And they didn't even know we didn't live in the same household.
Right.
It was just kind of crazy. But then I just heard from another friend who was wearing her mask walking on the street, and somebody yelled at her to take off your mask. It's like, so it's just really strange. And like you said, how embedded people are in their beliefs. And so trying to, that's kind of what's been getting to me, is just the duality of how crazy people are one direction or the other, and I sort of like mind your own business and try to take care of people and be mindful of, like your person down the street. There are people who really can't be around anything like this right now. So, try and do it for other people, not just yourself.
Great story, by the way. I love that. I'm going to share that. I know, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right?
It's the American way.
Yeah.
And you got to love the passion, but good Lord, what crazy making.
Give it a rest.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so next on my screen is Trisha with the lovely is that an orc? No, that's an iris in the background. And let me make sure you are unmuted.
Yeah, I got the iris from a neighbor's garden. It fell over in the rain and it was bent over, and I said, okay, it must be for me. So I broke it off and brought it home. So I think for me, what's been the most helpful for me during this time has been the fact that this is spring, that this happened in spring.
Yeah.
If it happened in winter, it would have been really much a whole different story, I think, for everyone here, in the United States. It was just starting to become spring. It was warm enough so I could go out and walk and not be waiting to get back, because I have a dog I have to walk. I'm in a townhome, so I have to walk my dog every morning. And now that I'm not doing anything else, I'm walking him about 3 times a day. Nice, fairly medium walks, not long ones, but it's been a blessing to be doing that and to watch the spring happening. It's really been it's been soothing to me, and I think that's been the most helpful. As I walk along Cherry Creek. It's just up the street from my house, and to be connected to the water and the things that are changing. Because it's spring, everything is growing. And over the course of the past 2 months, I watched things, the grass, the wild grass along the creek grow and turn green. And we've had rain, so it's good. And I've seen birds, all sorts of birds, and watching the birds and baby ducks in the creek. So it's a season, and it's been a very it's been the word I'm trying to, it's been nourishing to me, the season. And as far as, I think the problem that I have, because I've been retired for 2 or 3 years. And so it's not, I'm grateful during this time that I'm not working. I'm not worried about finances anymore. I mean, but people who are dependent upon their paychecks and everything, it just breaks my heart, the suffering of people, but I'm kind of have my own routine here, and it's been very spacey. I really, for a long time, I couldn't remember what day of the week it was. And actually I was talking to a friend, Mimi, who I don't know where she is today, but I was talking to her and she said, well, let's talk tomorrow on the phone. I says, well, I'm going to do the Thursday thing with Jonathan in the morning. And she says, today's Thursday. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, then I really felt like I was in a total space land. So, that's just been one of the side effects of it. But I think that for me, the difficult, now that things are starting to shift, it feels amorphous. I feel like I'm not quite sure. I'm really ready to go out, and I would just like to go to a restaurant, sit down and have somebody serve me, not have to cook everything, I'd like to go shopping. Can I say that? I would just like to go out to a nice store and just look at things, of which I'm not ready to do yet. But the uncertainty of, as people are going out, starting to go out and not sure how I should be doing that, and if I feel comfortable with it, it's very, it feels amorphous and kind of, just kind of unsettling for me. This as things are just starting to shift, and and I have to say this because I watched your thing yesterday about the racial situation and with George Floyd, which just, I saw the video and I just broke my heart, totally broke my heart to see it. It was like to hear his voice and to hear his friends begging for mercy, and it just was, it's been deep in my heart right now, just trying to live with that. So anyway, that is aside from our actual topic, but so there we go. Okay.
All right, thank you. So Kate, you're up next, and looks like your Wi-Fi is good. How are you doing?
Well, I'm kind of up and down. It's I have good days and I have not so good days. As you were saying, I think the emotions, I'm a very feeling person anyway, so things affect me, and but I think the biggest thing for me has been obviously that I'm totally alone, but that's changing now, so that's good. I don't know if people know this, but I do what's called Airbnb. Probably everybody's heard of it. And I started doing that 7-8 years ago. So I was kind of on the cutting edge of, and but it's changed a lot, and not always for the good. When these companies make a lot of money, they start not being as good to the hosts, and they're more focused on the guests because that's how they make their money. So I've had to do a real learning curve with that recently. That was stressful, but I got through it. And my first guest is actually coming today, and she's moved. She's
Wow.
coming up from Texas, driving here. So I said,
Wow.
please be careful. Just take every precaution you can, keep yourself safe and clean and whatever. Because, this is all new that people are starting to travel. And so she's young and vibrant, and it should be good to have someone around, that can fill that void for me, since I don't have my cat. And I'm seeing friends here and there, but not that often, more on the phone. And my older brother, he's just very, very paranoid. And he just had a birthday, and I'm going over to see him. But we have to sit in his backyard while he's up on his deck. And we're not even allowed to come in the house to use the bathroom. And they live way out off C470, almost to Morrison.
Wow.
And so I'm like, really, guys? And what are we supposed to do? And they said, well, the guys can hop over the fence and, take a leak in the golf course. I was like, what? Anyway, it's just kind of bizarre, to me. That's like, you won't, well, can't you just sanitize your bathroom afterwards if we use it? Or I just don't kind of understand where people are coming from when they get that concerned to that degree. I mean, they are over 70, but they don't have any underlying conditions. Okay, I'll stop about that. Now, what has helped me is that I'm going to places like the Rocky Mountain Arsenal Wildlife Preserve and walking around and hanging out on a little beach. But, these lakes have kind of sandy beaches. And I sit in the sand and I listen to the breezes and I watch the sun and the trees and birds showing up. And one day I saw a herd of 40 or 50 buffalo, and it's just, it's close, but it's nature and it's great. Another place I go to is called Bluff Lake Nature Park. And it's just like Trish was talking about. I've watched it change and get greener, and the wild grass is growing more, and it's up along the Sand Creek, and it's got wildlife, deer that I've seen, and of course birds again, and ducks. But the ducks have left now. They seem to, this time of year they move on. But that's been good. So that's my saving grace, I guess. And I look forward to the time when I can go out and volunteer and work in a shelter and be around animals for a while.
Yeah.
And as far as my spiritual practice, I'm journaling and reading. And I haven't started your book that I've downloaded, but I would really, do you have hard copies of that new book or not?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wondered.
Yeah.
Because I do like to turn pages,
Yeah.
as Sue had mentioned. Okay.
Me too.
Okay, it's really good to see everyone, and I really appreciate, Jonathan, all that you're doing to keep Althea connected, and what you're offering for people. It's wonderful.
Very cool. Thank you so much. And I love the image of sitting in the arsenal there. That was beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
And can I just say about your book is that I've signed up for it twice. I've requested it twice and I have never gotten it. So.
Okay, well, anytime someone has a problem, you should let me know, because that's not, you're not supposed to have problems. And then I'll contact the company that set it up.
Okay.
But for the record, if it's just the book that you need, I can just send you the PDF that you're supposed to be able to download.
Okay, I'll send you
yeah, no problem. I'd be happy to do that.
Okay.
So I see Joni, I see Terry, I see Julie. Lawrence is invisible, but I believe he's here and listening. And we have about 10 minutes if we're going to go almost to 12. So it's okay if we go over, but just so no one has any hard feelings, as some of you know, I actually have a standing commitment at noon, and I need at least 30 seconds to get ready for that. So Joni, you're up next. And if you've lost track of what we're doing, it's a check-in to say hello, and then what's keeping you strong and what's challenging you. And it's been very helpful. I've been writing down all kinds of notes. A although it does seem like for many of us, it's very similar things. Our spiritual practice, staying close to nature, and then struggling with, you know, the uncertainty and the division. The themes feel quite clear. Joni, you're next. And
Hello.
you are unmuted. Yes, go.
Good. You know, what's been so helpful has been having at this point, you know, a 4-year practice, 4-year daily practice, like Barbara in the morning, having my time to meditate, my Kuksando movement and breath.
Mhm.
And what I had started, 3-4 months ago is reciting mystical poetry for, it could be 20 minutes, it could be, I've gone on for hours. And it is so powerful to, and sometimes it's the same poem 20, 30 times. And it's
Yeah.
just an incredible practice on its own. So that's what's been very helpful for me. Getting out. I have a lake nature preserve near me that has just been wonderful to spend time in, watch spring come, watch the wildlife arrive. And slowly, you know, I'm becoming a little more, I don't know whether it's trustful of myself and just the situation, but you know, I've begun spending time with friends. We're masked, we keep our distance. That hasn't always worked. Last week, for those that don't know, the Denver Botanic Gardens reopened. It's timed reservations, so yeah, get on fast. I've got a slew of reservations, and I think through June 10th is you can reserve through. And it's been great to meet friends there. And even, I think it was Tuesday, I was there with my friends Lisa and Glenda, and we gathered at the entrance, walked through, and the outdoor gift store is open to kind of, yes, Trisha, you're gonna love it. And it took us at least 30 minutes to get past the outdoor gifts. We were looking at all the plants and the planters and the fountains. And we looked at each other after like 30 minutes and went, are we ever going to even step inside the gardens? Because we just were having so much fun. I mean, it's wonderful, beautiful stuff they have out there, but like we weren't shopping, but it was just an activity that we hadn't done in so long. And, you know, pointing and sharing, you know, what the cool stuff we were finding. It was kind of amusing. And we thought, let's go into the gardens. And that was extraordinary. It's gorgeous there. Irises have gone crazy there. So, so that's all the good stuff. Challenges for me, again, going back to Jonathan's 12 at 12 yesterday, a couple of days earlier, I had chosen to get in touch with the local Democratic National Committee and the Biden campaign to see what volunteer work that I could do to honor these folks that were slaughtered. And I knew that I was going to have to step through some of my fears, through neighborhoods I've never walked through, because I'm not going to register voters in my community, in my neighborhood. I want to target neighborhoods that are underserved and you know, have not had the voice that they deserve. So, you know, I know that's going to be a challenge for me. And yet, when I was walking around my neighborhood yesterday, I was actually more hesitant and fearful. I think, like Sue had said, of being masked. No one in my immediate neighborhood wears a mask, and it's this. You can just see it in people's eyes and their expressions. There's this, just this kind of like combination of animosity and daring and I, basically I'm more hesitant to be around the people who live around me at this moment than going into some of the neighborhoods in, downtown Denver, and, going into apartments and knocking on doors to register folks that may not be registered. And I just know that I'm in for an amazing experience where I'm going to confront some fears, some deep fears that I haven't faced. And yet at the same time, last night I couldn't go to sleep because I wanted to be out there right now. I want to be out there. I want to hear what people have to say. I want to hear voices that haven't been heard. And I am just so excited to get out there and do that. I can't wait. So this is an interesting time.
Yeah. Cool. And thank you for that example of what activity and activism we can be involved with. So, dearest Lawrence, Julie, and Terry, there is about 1 minute for each of you. And I wonder who would, and I'm sorry, that's the way it happened today, but would you like to take a moment to greet the group, say a few words? I apologize for the timing of things. It's timing and flow is always an issue in the group. But who's feeling eager to have a minute? So Terry's hand is up.
Lawrence.
Lawrence. All right, Lawrence. Terry's hand is up. She's going to be real quick, and then we'll get you. And Julie, are you okay to be the grand finale?
Sure, I'll wrap it up.
All right. So this is the lightning round. Brevity is the soul of wit, so we know whatever you say will be most profound. Terry, I'm going to unmute you, or I'm trying to anyway. But it is, there you go. All right.
All right. I can do it really quick. I'm just so glad to see all of you. I've missed you all so much, and I'm so glad you're doing this on Zoom. And that's it. That's my challenge and my strength.
Wow. Well, and Terry, I know there's more for you, and I appreciate you've been checking in with some of the videos, and so it's good to see you too. All right, Lawrence, you said there was something for you.
Hi, everybody. You can't see me, but those of you that know me, just close your eyes. I think it's been a great freedom for me to be able to say, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
I'm okay with it. Being an entrepreneur, I'm supposed to know. My clients expect me to know, but I find a great freedom in not knowing. The opening prayer that you gave this morning, Jonathan, was for me about duality. And this is where we live. We live on this earth planet, and it's hot or cold, it's right or left, it's up or down, it's all about duality. And I think the word for me on a daily basis is clarity. Clarity, clarity, clarity. What works for me? Music. Music works for me. Pandora has become my best go-to for that music. I can call up a lyric, I can call up an artist, I can call up a tune, I can sing along. Music works for me. Because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm supposed to have business goals. I really don't have any business goals because I didn't plan on a pandemic this year. What else is helpful for me is City Park. I'm only 6 blocks away, so I'm there almost every day with my wife, my great partner, my great quarantine partner. So that's it. I'm just adopting the wait and see, and I do wear my mask wherever I go, if not for myself, but to make other people feel comfortable. That's it.
Very good. Thank you, Lawrence. Well, Julie, you know, I feel a special connection with you because you're always seated near me on Sundays.
I like my special place, and I like to be in the same place all the time. I like structure. Some of this has been not that hard for me, and then other aspects of it have been really difficult. I was really trying to kind of come out of my shell, and now I'm back in it again. But what I have found that was helpful, audiobooks, got a ton of those, crafts, housework is actually very relaxing. The kids in the neighborhood are a delight. I've been using the Calm application,
Oh, yeah,
C-A-L-M. Yeah. Kaiser, if you're a Kaiser member, that's available to you for free. I
Oh,
started
really?
Yeah. So Kaiser members, go get it. I used to work
Wow.
for Kaiser. That was my career, was in healthcare.
Wow.
So there's, this can be really difficult from that perspective because of just the varying views that people have. And I tend to have very strong feelings. So I'm trying not to be married to those too much. I'm trying not to be too attached to my ideas, just to try to listen to other people. So yeah, being too attached to my own ideas is not helpful. Neither is too much news. That's not helpful at all. So I've really just been specific about, here's the amount of time you can spend on that activity, and then you're done. That's it. And then I'll be really quick. This is very cool. This is a leather book that I bought, and these are all blank pages. And it's like this wonderful cottony, linen-y sort of fabric. And so I'm going to be able to spend the summer just putting stuff in this beautiful, wonderful book.
Nice. Well, thank you. That was a beautiful way to end. I loved some of those tips. And you know, I am going to close pretty fast because my other appointment's already started and people are already wondering what happened to me. But these are all really great tips at what each person has shared, and I recommend you try it. One thing that really stood out for me, of course, nature for everyone, movement, meditation and prayer, but journaling in a time that you want to look back on is very helpful. And in particular, journaling in a time of uncertainty is very helpful because it actually creates a reference point for life. So we're going to close just like that. I love you one and all, really I do. And I look forward to seeing you soon. We're going to do it again on Sunday. We have the 12 at 12. I do the 8:30. There's lots of ways we're going to connect. And then Monday, there's the shamanic mysticism class. So thank you again. I'm sorry for a quick ending, but take care. And it's been great seeing each and every one of you. Bye-bye.